Oh, hello. Sorry, he put his hand up to say that I was live and I didn't catch the signal. Hey, my name's Ryan. Welcome to Youth Open Shop Live. I'm here with JP and Kirsty, and we're here to answer your questions and help you learn about bikes. So, if you have any questions and you're watching us live, you can head over to the Zoom webinar at tiny.cc/YOS-Live, and you can join us there and you can ask your questions live. Now, this is a weekly live stream that we do. So if you're watching us in the future, which would be the future for us, then you can join us every week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. here on Zoom. We're also on YouTube. If you're watching these after the fact, we've got all the past videos on YouTube, so you can watch them there. So if you have any questions, you can watch us live. But let's say you can't watch us live, there's other options as well. If you'd like to, you can also leave questions, and the links to leave your question and to suggest a topic are all down below. Now, today we're going to be talking about different styles of bikes. As you can tell, I'm standing amidst a bunch of bikes. But before we get started, as always, I want to go over some quick safety rules. Now, here are the safety rules. We're just going to post them right here in text form. Oh, internet safety rules first here. We've also got work safety rules. Ooh, magical, I know. Now, all of these can be found at tiny.cc/YOS-LRules. And that's on our webpage, bicyclecollective.org, where you can go and learn more about them. If you want to submit a photo, please do. All of that down in the description on YouTube. So if you miss those links on the Zoom, don't worry, those will always be on YouTube. So just head over to the YouTube channel, click the video, and just follow the links in the description. But anyway, awesome. So as I forgot to mention, I'm actually in the Ogden Bicycle Collective today. So if you're in the area, this is what our shop looks like. You can hopefully soon come visit us. But today I just wanted to go over, because a lot of people come in, because we sell bikes, we donate bikes, and people are wondering what kind of bike they want. So what you usually ask is like, what do you want to use it for? And that's kind of the thing. So I'm going to go over 4 different kinds of bikes. There's lots of different kinds of bikes, but I'm going to go over 4 of the most common ones. And there's also a link in the description too, where there's a bike store online. I think it's called Cycle Century. They put together this really cool list, a long list of all the different styles of bikes. And there are bikes that I'd never heard of before and bikes that I'd never seen. So check that out if you want to learn more. But I'll go over the 4 and then what you'd use them for. So that way you can kind of decide what bike's best for you and what bike you would, for example, when I was in school, I had a summer job, and I'd ride my mountain bike to that summer job 15 miles. And it turns out that I probably would have been better off if I wasn't riding a mountain bike, but riding a road bike or something similar to that, because then it would have been easier to go the long distance. But let's go ahead and get started here. So right here, I've got myself a mountain bike. This is a Gary Fisher, good bike. This one is a bit small for me. All of the bikes I'll be showing today are a bit small for me, but I just wanted to do that because it's easier to get on and off them. Maybe we'll go over how to size what kind of bike or how big of a bike you should have in a later video. But today we're just going over the different types. Let me go ahead. I'll move the little stand out of the way. So for each bike, I'm going to go over 4 different things: the frame, the tires, the handlebars, and the gears. So real quick though, first up, the frame. This frame, when you sit on it, you're kind of bent over, but not all the way over, but you're not all the way upright either. You're kind of bent over like this. And a lot of times mountain bike frames will have shocks. This one has front shocks and rear shocks. Ooh, let me put my foot on the other pedal so you can see that better. So pretend I'm riding. Just we'll green screen out my back leg here, and it'll look like I'm riding. All right, wear a helmet too. Make sure to wear a helmet. You don't want to crash and hurt your head. But The point is that you're in an upright position so you can have better balance. So your balance is somewhere, a lot of times it's over the farther back on the bike, but a lot of times it's about mid or farther back. Now this bike, another key feature of mountain bikes is the tires. Now these tires have lots of little bumps on them, little knobs that are meant for grabbing onto gravel and dirt and loose rocks. So that way you don't lose traction if you're riding through a patch of gravel or a patch of sand or on a dirt road. So that way you don't slip and go all over the place. I have lots of experiences where I was riding on a gravel path with too smooth of tires and I just slipped and went sideways. And then instead of having gravel under my tires, I had gravel under my knees because I crashed. All right, next up, we've got the handlebars. Now these handlebars are wide and flat. Now the point for that is that as you're going down the path, you can steer and you can have a lot of control as you're going between rocks and over bumps and over obstacles and dodging things. So that's what those are for. So flat bars. All right. And finally, let's go over the gears. Now these gears, usually you want one that's big in the front. Oh shoot, no, small in the front and big in the back. The big in the back, because the bigger that you have it in the back and the smaller you have it in the front, this one, the small one in the front is actually hidden by the bigger one, is because you want to be able to go up steep hills. So you want to have it as small in the front and big in the back as you can. But when you're going downhill, you want to have big in the front and small in the back. So that way you can still pedal when you're going downhill and going really fast. So that's what a mountain bike does. It has a frame with shocks on it where you're sitting kind of slanted. You have grippy tires, you have long, wide handlebars for more control, and you have gears that help you go up hills as well as gears that help you go fast downhill. All right, let me put this one aside and we'll pull out my microphone cord for my shirt. Sorry. There, hopefully that didn't deafen anyone. Apologize for that. Because next up, we've got a road bike. So this is a Le Mans. This is a company that was made by a guy who won the Tour de France. Isn't that neat? Anyway, this is a really fast and road bike. And the cool thing about road bikes is a lot of times they're really light. Now, it doesn't mean other bikes aren't light. There's a lot of really light mountain bikes as well. But road bikes are for competition and for going fast. So we'll start out with the frame. The frame is rather simple. But another cool thing you'll notice, oh, I wish I could adjust the seat. Well, I can't adjust the seat. Let me adjust the seat to show you. This one you have to use a wrench, Allen wrench. But we'll raise the seat up. This is about where you'd have the seat. And you'll notice that it's higher or as high or higher than the handlebars. And here, let me show you. So if I get on the bike and I'm on it like this, then what I can do is I can either go up here and I'm pretty far bent over the bike, or I can go down here and I can get almost completely horizontal. So I can be really fast and really aerodynamic. And so that's why the seat actually goes as high or higher than the handlebars. That way you can get down even lower so you can go fast and the air just goes over your back instead of hitting you in the chest and so hitting your microphone and slowing you down. So that's what the frame does for this bike. Next up, we got the tires. Now, if I turn it sideways, does it even appear on camera anymore? Probably, it's not that thin, but they're as thin as the thinnest bike tires are on road bikes so that they can go really fast. They're kind of like ice skates. The really thin figure skate design just skates down the road and goes really fast. So this one has really thin tires to go really fast, but what it means is they're very skinny, so you feel more bumps, and if you hit a patch of gravel, you might end up in the gravel. So you have to, these are for going straight and fast and doing very wide turns, which leads to the handlebars. You'll notice the handlebars are not very wide at all. They're often narrow or narrower than your shoulders. Well, my shoulders anyway, but the point of that is So that way you can be low down this way, but then you can be narrow this way. And so that way you can have more aerodynamics. And perhaps if you're racing, have you ever seen one of those road bike races? A lot of times the guys and girls or dudes, everyone, are right next to each other. So you don't want to be spreading your elbows out because you might get caught in somebody else and everyone goes down. A lot of videos here on YouTube of crashes. They're not always very fun. So to keep it in, you just go fast. And so that means that you can't do very fast movements with it, but you can make turns and you can stay aerodynamic. All right, that's a road bike. Oh, shoot, the gears, which leads to a final thing. You'll notice that the gears in the back are very small, but this gear in the front is much bigger than the road bike. So what that means is that you can go faster. An experienced bike rider can go 20 miles an hour, whereas a racer, like a professional racer, can go 30 miles an hour. So imagine that. Imagine holding on to the hood of your car while someone's driving 30 miles an hour. That's what pros feel like when they're racing on these. So it's really exciting, really cool. And it's all powered by their legs. So that's another cool thing about bikes, right? It's all leg powered. There's also electric motors and whatnot. But all right, now, actually, we'll cover this one last. Let's cover kind of a bike that's more relaxed than either. This one is called a cruiser. Now this one's cool. This one's it's easier to step over the front here, but this one is kind of just a very simple bike. The way you pedal, or the way you brake, excuse me, is by pedaling backwards, a lot like on a kid's bike. So it's got the white handlebars, and if you look at me, I'm sitting straight up like I'm sitting in a chair. This is super comfortable. And there's springs in the seat, so that way I'm like all comfy and bouncing all over the things. Now the wheels on this one, so the frame on this one is meant so you can sit straight up. The wheels, this one's kind of grippy, but they're always very big, because the bigger the tire, the more cushiony it is. So this one's big for maximum comfort. You're just riding along, super comfortable. And a lot of times, there's only one gear. There's just one gear, and that's just to make it easy. You don't have to worry about changing gears. You just ride along, you're riding down the street, and it does make it a little bit harder going up and down hills, but it's a very simple bike. So it's got a big gear in the front, little gear in the back on this one, so that way you can go pretty fast. Not super fast, but pretty fast. And it's super comfortable. That's kind of the whole point. This is called a cruiser bike. Oh, and I forgot to say the main feature, the handlebars. Let me lean it over so you can see. These handlebars are shaped in a big U shape, and that helps me so I can sit upright. It means I can't make as fast movements, but it's super comfortable. It's like the armchair of bikes. They're great. I love these. All right. Now, finally, I want to go over a very common bike. This is a BMX bike. This is the PK Ripper. Maybe you remember it from 2 weeks ago when we did the handlebar episode. Now, this one is pretty cool because this is a bike that could fit a kid, maybe 3-4 foot or taller, but it also fits adults. And you might see these at skate parks. This particular bike, I found out, was actually meant for racing on dirt tracks. So what happens with these bikes? Well, when you're riding it, you can sit down and it's pretty comfortable, just sitting upright. But when you're going, you can stand up. You can stand up on the bike and continue pedaling and then go and do tricks and jumps and things. This one's actually pretty light, so it helps going over the jumps and off ramps and all sorts of cool things. So I also want to demonstrate the frame is low, but it's pretty long. Here, let me pull it up next to, this is a bike. This is a cruiser style of a kid's bike, but you'll notice it's just the tiniest bit shorter than the BMX bike. BMX bikes are long, so that way if an adult rides it, their knees don't hit the handlebars when they're pedaling. So, all right, next up, the tires. Tires are pretty grippy. Like I said, this one was meant for dirt, so it's kind of grippy, but you'll notice it's still smooth. It's not bumpy like the mountain bike tires. And yeah, they're meant for gripping cement or maybe dirt roads if like this one was a dirt jumper. But, well, maybe not a dirt jumper. That's a different kind of bike. Check out that link. It'll give you all sorts of info. So, and then then I'll go over the handlebars real quick. Like we mentioned 2 weeks ago in our stream about handlebars, these handlebars are higher, so that way you can have more control when you're standing up. You don't have to be all the way down here. So that helps out. And finally, the gears on this one. So we've got a big one in the front and a little one in the back. And you'll notice that means you can get higher speeds. Now, in the road bike, that meant you could get higher speeds, sorry. But you'll notice the road bike had a much bigger tire, much wider tire. Well, how would you say that? It's bigger this way, larger diameter tire, as opposed to this one, which has a smaller 20-inch tire. So that means you can have a smaller gear on the back and still have enough power to spin it. But you want a big one on the front, and there's all sorts of different reasons and different sizes of gears you can put on it. But this one was meant for speeds, so that way you could get enough speed to actually go off the jumps or to go down the hill and keep pedaling and go fast. And now this one has brakes. A lot of times BMX bikes will have brakes on the front, but they can also have it where you pedal backwards to stop. So excellent. So that's what a BMX bike does. So now I'm just gonna, actually, you know what? I'm gonna sit right here. This is the Q&A portion. So that's it for the work portion or the teaching portion of the video. Every week we'll try to go over a different topic of biking, bike repair, bike tools, bike facts, all that sort of thing. So, and then we get into a Q&A, just an off topic, just any questions that you have, any kind of Q&A. And then we'll go over those here in the end of the video. So before we go into that though, I would like to invite you guys to like the video, share it with your friends and family, subscribe to us on YouTube. So if we get enough subscribers, we can actually post announcements and all sorts of community posts ahead of time on the YouTube channel and reach more people. So yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram and all that. We also have a newsletter, and the link to get that down below is tiny.cc/YOS. Oh no, sorry, tiny.cc/BC newsletter for Bicycle Collective. So yeah, excellent. So we will always have, these videos will be up on YouTube, so you can check those out. But anyway, all right, we actually got a question, and this one is from Anonymous. So the question is, how do I know what size of bike is right for me? That's a good question. And I'm sure in a later video, we'll cover more of like the details and all that, but there's a couple basics. Now, first off, there's a safety concern. So you want to be able to stand over the center bar, because if you can't stand over the center bar, you're going to have a really hard time if you need to stop. Because what happens, here, let me get a bigger bike so I can demonstrate. Bike shuffle. That's what we do around here. We shuffle bikes. It's like Vegas for bikes. Because that's what they do in Vegas. They shuffle cards, I guess. Made more sense in my head. All right. Sorry, Lamont. All right, Gary Fisher. All right. So when you're standing over your bike, you stand in front of the seat, and then you use the pedals to lift yourself up onto the seat, and then you start pedaling and you go. But when you rest, like say you stop at a stoplight, or you're getting ready, you're waiting to go, you stand like this over your bike. Now, you need to be able to stand over the center bar of your bike, because if you can't and you're just like floundering there, I can't pretend to make my legs shorter, sorry guys. But if you can't touch the ground, that'll make wading a lot harder, and it'll actually be dangerous, because say you need to stop for a car, you need to be able to stand like that. So you don't want to not be able to stop and just be kind of wobbling there. So that's the main thing. The other thing is, let me pull up old PK Ripper back over here. It's a tangle of bikes. It's like a murder of crows or herd of cows. It's a tangle of bikes. Sorry, Lamond. I'll fix you later. But you want to make sure that your knees don't hit the handlebars. So you want to make sure there's enough space between your seat and your handlebars that you're comfortable. You don't want to be stretched out like this, but you don't want to be too close so that your knees are hitting the thing. So that's that. It's excellent. There's lots of details, and there's whole calculators where you enter in the size of your arm from the shoulder to your wrist. You enter in the size from your collarbone to the floor. All sorts of measurements that people take to know exactly which bike is right for them. But that's kind of the basics. Sorry, we're getting a phone call, but excellent. So let's see, any other questions today? Nope. That's good. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining us. My name is Ryan, and I'm here at the Ogden Bicycle Collective, and this has been Youth Open Shop Live. So you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us. Go out there, ride your bikes, be safe, and have a great day.